portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies.
Okay, illegal and unjust policies. Take a second and think about that. Okay, some white folks didn't get into a college for X, Y, and Z reason. Okay, hey, if you want to be a victim and that's what you want to call that, okay, go for it. I can't tell you how you can feel in that situation. But knowing the history of this country and the actual victims that this country had inflicted on my ancestors for 300 plus years, we can't have that conversation? I mean, I'm honestly at a loss for words. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's I need every black person, every African American, every people that look like me. I need you. If you voted for Trump, I just need you just to answer one question. Do you feel played? Like, that's an honest question. Like I need understanding, because right now I am embarrassed to be black. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know black folks are not a monolith. I know we don't operate the same, and, you know, we're not robots, machines. I get that. I understand. But to the level of stupidity that my people do, it's hard not to feel embarrassed because of you guys. And like I said, I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you don't subscribe to my channel. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? You're not hurting my pockets. You know, so I can say how I feel. I can say what I want to you. And right now, if you voted for Trump, you are an embarrassment. Because this entire time, every time Democrats run for office, and especially when Harris, had her 3-4 months to run, people would ask her about reparations. And, she chucked and jived and, didn't really answer it. But then eventually she said no. Then black folks, oh, Harris is not giving reparations. I can't vote for her. Like, I literally had comments in my videos of people saying she's not for reparations. I can't vote for her. And when Harris was talking about policies to help the black community and black jobs and black health and this, then people, white folks too, a politician, a president can't create laws and legislation for a specific group of people. That's illegal. It's unconstitutional and blah, 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 blah. All this crying. White folks always crying about, we can't give reparations. That was X, 100 years ago. And it wasn't you, like all this crying and complaining these white folks were doing every time reparations was brought up in conversation. But as you can tell by the title of this video, the thumbnail that you clicked on, Trump wants to give restitutions, whatever you want to call it, to victims. Yes, victims like of a crime, those kind of victims, to DEI students in universities. Now, I mean, it's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But I mean, we can entertain a conversation if we had a serious conversations about reparations for African Americans from descendants of slaves. But we can't even have that in good faith. So why in the hell? Why? I want to know. But I know I'm not going to get a straight answer. I know there's going to be a lot of, Republican voters, white folks that are just going to not have an argument. They're just going to be like, oh, Trump 2024, idiot talk. They don't know how to conversate like a human being. They're just like apes, cavemen. So I don't expect to have intellectual conversations with those kind of people because they're just stupid. Their DNA, that's who they are. So let's hear Don Lemon, just try to make some sort of sense of this because I just can't. I don't know. Let's take a listen.
What is up with this? So reparations, people have been fighting for reparations for decades now, right?
Right.
Reparations for Black people, reparations over slavery, reparations over real harm that has been injected into America since the start of the country, really close to the start of the country, with slavery, right? With Jim Crow, and on and on. Except there's a different kind of reparations that Donald Trump is announcing, and this time it is for white people. Watch.
Getting their money's worth. Furthermore, I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit, unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies.
Okay, illegal and unjust policies. Take a second and think about that. Okay, some white folks didn't get into a college for X, Y, and Z reason. Okay, hey, if you want to be a victim and that's what you want to call that, okay, go for it. I can't tell you how you can feel in that situation. But knowing the history of this country and the actual victims that this country had inflicted on my ancestors for 300 plus years, we can't have that conversation. We can't say those were actually victims and reparations for my ancestors during that time period. That can was kicked down the road, and never been solved. But no, we want reparations for white folks. That's the direction we're going with this, right? Oh man. Oh, this is gold right here. Like, this is like in a movie type of scenarios. Like it's so unbelievable.
Policies
I don't know.
that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all. We are going to have real education in America. Thank you.
What is that, Tim?
Well, on the one hand, right, it just demonstrates the sort of upside down world of the MAGA right wing in a nation that never compensated the victims of white racism, enslavement, segregation for their injuries. And in fact, not only did we not do that, the only reparations we did pay with relation to racism in this country with regard to black folks was actually paid to former enslavers when the DC Emancipation Law was passed. Yep. And compensated slave owners for the loss of their human property.
And when I read up on it, kind of just going through my notes, because trust me, I was going to have a whole entire small history lesson at the start of this video, but I just erased it all. I'm like, you know what? It is a waste of time trying to explain to black people about your history. I just erased it because it's like, if you don't know now, it is too late for you. You are a waste of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like you do not belong in this conversation. So cause it's just a waste of time, you know? But yeah, after Abraham did all that amazing stuff, he, in my opinion, didn't want white folks to be like too mad. So he paid them reparations. It was like, I think either $300 or $500, but back then that was a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? So he gave that for each slave that was freed, because he understood that, hey, this is going to hurt your business, you know, your plantation, your livelihood, you know. So and it just seems like history is like in an odd way repeating itself, because we understand, some people understand, the reason for affirmative action, you know, is there were segregation in schools. Look it up. In the only way, which, you know, we can have that conversation, but the only way that government thought they could kind of resolve that was through affirmative action. And now white folks are trying to combat affirmative action, not understanding why that was implemented, because racist white people in power prevented black folks from opportunities. They prevented black folks to these opportunities. So now these white folks are crying about legislation to help black folks overcome the segregation. Now they're crying segregation or denying of opportunity. It's like such a mind-bending type of move here. It's just honestly almost like a hopeless conversation at this point. If you think something like that is racist against a group of people that were known historically to be racist to those group of people, it's like a conversation I don't want to be a part of, because this is just ridiculous at that point. You know, you hit me, so I hit you, and now you're crying because I hit you, but you are denying the fact that you hit me first. So now you want to hit me back again. And it's like, no, you started this. This country started the segregation and denying of opportunity for black folks. So now why are you getting reparations? I don't know. I don't know.
Those who were enslaved, but those who had held them in bondage. These are that's the only reparations we really paid vis-a-vis white-black relations. And now these folks in MAGA world are suggesting we should compensate the white so-called victims of basically diversity and equity trainings, I gather. Now, on the one hand, that shows you the upside down thinking. On the other hand, let's be clear, this is not new thinking. This is reverting to type. It is history repeating itself. This idea that reverse discrimination against white people is the discrimination problem that has been around since the literal immediate end of the Civil War, when President Johnson vetoed the Civil Rights Act of 1866. And when he did that, his explanation was that Civil Rights Act had gone too far in providing preferential treatment to black folks, right? Preferential treatment to black folks. And all that law did was seek to end discrimination and produce some measure of equal opportunity for black people. And to Johnson, that was too much. So the reverse discrimination arguments that Trump makes, that Stephen Miller makes, those are literally Civil War era arguments. They were made in 1883 when Justice Bradley on the Supreme Court helped to invalidate certain post-emancipation civil rights laws. He wrote in his opinion that year that black folks had been favored enough by the laws. They'd been the special favorite of the laws just because we were trying to end the history of discrimination against them. And therefore, they should take the rank of quote unquote mere citizens, forgetting they had not even been citizens at all until a few years before that. And so this is part of a historical amnesia, a historical deliberate forgetting that white folks engage in, where all the injuries done to black folks are swept under the rug, but the so-called injury of like a 3-hour diversity training is supposedly something for which white people require compensation. It's just fascinating. It would be funny if it weren't so incredibly dangerous.
And it's weird that, and just thinking about it, black folks have been arguing, have been fighting for, have been in the forefront of reparations. This conversation isn't just a year old, 5 years old, 10 years old. I'm sure they've been fighting for reparations on some sort of level before I was born. You know what I'm saying? But as soon as some white folks start crying about DEI, which they don't even know what that means, affirmative action, a few white tears start to, slowly roll down their face, and all of a sudden, the entire government moves on their behalf. I don't know. I don't know.
It's really there aren't words. There are words, but I don't know if I can say them because then I might get canceled. But who cares? I mean, it's bullshit. And it is the height, I believe, of white racism, right? And and folks centering whiteness, especially around, as you said, you get a diversity training course and that white people must be compensated for it. But also, you cannot teach. I would assume this is saying you can't teach the true history of America in school because they don't want people to be offended or feel bad about what they're learning in schools, especially children. Now, I, as a black person, and I've been saying this for a while, it did not feel great for me to learn about slavery, but it was necessary to my growth and to my knowledge as an adult, even as a child. So what is wrong with teaching the real history of America to white people?
Right. Well, there's nothing wrong with it. And part of the problem with this announcement that Trump is making is that it's not really clear what it's aimed at. Is it diversity trainings? Is it affirmative action, which the court has already limited in its most recent decision?
Yeah.
Is it just the teaching of accurate history? Are they literally looking to punish schools for allowing conversations of systemic racism? We don't know. That's one of the things that makes this idea so incredibly unconstitutional. When something is that vague, the odds that it is going to run aground of First Amendment protections is pretty strong. But I would suggest we know what these folks believe. We know, for example, that Project 2025 said they wanted to essentially nationalize what 25 or 26 states had already done in this country in the last 2 to 3 years, which was pass these quote unquote divisive concept laws that essentially prevent the teaching of accurate history under the guise of protecting students and parental rights. But like you said, whose parents and whose children? Which children? If you say, for instance, as Moms for Liberty, which is one of the big right-wing groups pushing this argument, says that we shouldn't even teach the history of let's say, Ruby Bridges, the story of Ruby Bridges, who desegregated the public schools in New Orleans in 1960. And the reason they gave was that it might make white children feel bad about their country, that it didn't offer white people enough redemption. So we shouldn't teach what actually happened. Even though Ruby Bridges, at the age of 6, was apparently old enough to face down racism, white children apparently are not ever old enough to learn about white racism. It is amazing not only in how anti-black it is, but how it also coddles white children and acts as if they're so precious they can't handle the truth. I will tell you that learning the truth about the history of racism in this country was incredibly helpful to me. It helped me to understand the country in which I live and the work that remained to be done. So when parents and teachers and right-wing folks and the president act as if somehow that history can't be taught, they are protecting white children from the truth that they need in order to be informed citizens in the 21st century. It is clear that that's what their goal is. And I don't know if that's what this particular announcement aims at, but we better be prepared for that to be at least part of what is intended here.
Oh my gosh. Hey, that white dude got bars. You know what I'm saying? And I never want to be in a position or into the mindset that all white folks are my enemies. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that low. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's just a certain section of Americans that don't care about facts, don't care about history, and either knowingly or just unaware of their racism, those are the people I have issues with. Like, it's just weird that after Donald Trump got elected, all of a sudden he's starting to shoot all these things out. You know, like, he didn't talk about this during the 4-5 years of still, you know, crying about 2020, you know, and just everything else. He never brought this up. When it comes to dismantling education and essentially whitewashing history, he didn't bring that up too often, you know. So I just want to know, black folks that voted for Trump, I hope I hope this is what you want. You know what I'm saying? When he turns this country upside down, I hope you get to sit at the feet at the dinner table. You know what I'm saying? I hope you get to eat the crumbs that he gives to you after he eats his meal. You know, because those are the type of black folks that vote for Trump. You know, like, Master's gonna like me. You know, I'm not like those black folks. Master, please like me, Master. Is there anything else I could do for you, Master? You know, those type of black folks. You know, and like I say, like those kind of black folks, man, like you guys make it real hard to be black and proud, knowing that I have to be grouped with you at the end of the day, you know. But it is what it is, you know. Like this video, I tried to put some meaning behind it, but it just feels like none of that really matters at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, black folks are already stuck in their stupidity and they don't care about reality or what's going to benefit them, you know? So once again, if you guys disagree with anything that I said in this video, hit the Discord link down below so we can have our one-on-one talk, or let me know how you feel in the comments down below. And like always, let's have that conversation.